Imagine opening an old family Bible that's been passed down for generations. Inside, you find a surname your family has carried for more than 200 years. You've always believed it came from England, Scotland, or Germany. But what if that name tells only half the story? What if hidden behind that familiar surname is a forgotten Native American ancestor whose identity slowly disappeared through centuries of war, migration, forced assimilation, and changing laws? Across the United States, millions of Americans proudly trace their ancestry to Europe. Yet historians and genealogists have discovered that thousands of colonial families quietly merged with Native communities long before the United States even existed. Their descendants inherited English surnames, French surnames, Spanish surnames, even though their bloodlines often included Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Powhatan, Shawnee, Lumbee, or other native nations. The surprising part isn't that these families existed. The surprising part is how effectively history erased them. Many native families were required to adopt European-style surnames after contact with settlers. Missionaries baptized native children with Christian names. Government officials assigned surnames during censuses. Tribal members marrying settlers frequently adopted their spouse's family name. Over time, languages disappeared, traditions faded, and native identities became hidden behind ordinary English last names. Today, DNA testing, church records, military documents, and tribal archives are revealing stories that remained buried for centuries. Some of America's oldest surnames may carry Native American roots that few people ever suspected. Here are 15 fascinating examples. The first surname is Adkins. To many Americans, Adkins appears to be a typical English surname derived from medieval Britain. Thousands of families across Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina proudly carry the name. Yet genealogists studying Appalachian history repeatedly encounter Adkins families connected to Cherokee communities during the 18th and 19th centuries. During westward expansion, many mixed heritage families settled in the Appalachian Mountains where official records were limited. Several Adkins households appeared on local tax records, while simultaneously maintaining close relationships with Cherokee settlements. Some descendants later enrolled in Cherokee communities after removal, while others remained in Appalachia and gradually identified themselves simply as white settlers. Today, not every Adkins family has native ancestry, but several documented branches unquestionably do. Their story demonstrates how one surname can represent many different family histories. The second surname is Blevins. The name originally arrived from England, however. Historians researching frontier settlements found multiple Blevins families living alongside Cherokee communities throughout Virginia and Tennessee. Some family lines include marriages recorded in missionary documents. Others appear in oral Cherokee histories passed down through generations. Following the Trail of Tears, certain Blevins descendants traveled west with Cherokee relatives. Others stayed behind. Eventually, the family branches lost contact. Generations later, DNA testing reunited descendants who had no idea they shared common ancestors. It became a remarkable reminder that surnames rarely tell the complete story. The third surname is Collins. One of America's most common surnames also appears throughout Native history. In Oklahoma, numerous Cherokee and Choctaw families carried the Collins name during the 19th century. Researchers believe several Collins ancestors entered Native communities through marriage, trading partnerships, or adoption. As their descendants grew, the surname spread across tribal records. Today, Collins appears on multiple tribal rolls, yet millions of Americans carrying the same surname remain completely unrelated. Once again, context matters more than the surname itself. The fourth surname is Fields. Fields sounds unmistakably English, yet among Cherokee genealogy researchers it carries unusual importance. Several prominent Cherokee families adopted or inherited the Fields surname generations before Oklahoma statehood. Mission schools, church registries, and census records repeatedly document the name across Cherokee settlements. Some descendants later became respected community leaders, teachers, and interpreters. Their English surname concealed a deeply Native family history. The fifth surname is Rogers. The Rogers name became famous in colonial America, but one Rogers family became especially significant among the Cherokee nation. John Rogers, a trader of European ancestry, married into Cherokee society during the 18th century. Their descendants became influential leaders within the nation. One branch eventually produced John Rogers Jr., a respected Cherokee political figure. Today, thousands of Rogers descendants proudly recognize both their European and Cherokee heritage. Their story illustrates how cultures merged rather than simply replacing one another. The sixth surname is Walker. Walker originated as an occupational surname in medieval England. Yet throughout the Southeast, researchers repeatedly encounter Walker families appearing in Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Cherokee records, many became interpreters because they spoke both English and native languages. Others served as guides, diplomats, or traders. These bilingual families occupied unique positions between two worlds. Their descendants often navigated enormous cultural challenges as America expanded westward. By the late 19th century, many Walker descendants identified primarily with American society. Their native ancestry quietly faded from family memory. The seventh surname is Taylor. Taylor ranks among America's most common surnames. It also appears frequently throughout native census records, particularly among Cherokee and Creek communities. Taylor families emerged during the 18th century through intermarriage. Several descendants later served in tribal governments after removal to Indian Territory. Historical records reveal teachers, judges, interpreters, farmers, and veterans carrying the Taylor name. Many preserved native traditions while adapting to changing American society. Others gradually blended into surrounding communities. Their surname remained. Their heritage often disappeared. The eighth surname is Brown. Few surnames seem more ordinary, yet Brown appears across nearly every major native nation in the eastern United States. Because missionaries frequently assigned simple English surnames, Brown became remarkably widespread. Different Brown families often belonged to completely unrelated tribes. Some descended from Europeans, others from native communities. Still others represented generations of mixed ancestry. Without genealogy, the surname alone reveals almost nothing. That uncertainty makes Brown one of America's most intriguing family names. The ninth surname is Smith. Perhaps no surname symbolizes America more than Smith. Ironically, it also became one of the most common surnames assigned within native communities. Blacksmith held respected positions after European contact. Missionaries also frequently recorded converts using English occupational names. As a result, Smith appears throughout Cherokee, Navajo, Creek, Choctaw, Lakota, and dozens of other tribal records. Some Smith families possess no native ancestry whatsoever. Others trace centuries of continuous native heritage. The same surname tells entirely different stories. The 10th surname is Van. Unlike many names on this list, Van has one of the strongest documented native connections. James Van became one of the wealthiest Cherokee leaders during the late 18th century. His family played major roles in Cherokee politics, education, and economic development. Today, the historic Van House Museum preserves part of that remarkable legacy. The Van surname stands as one of the clearest examples of native leadership within early American history. Yet many Americans remain unfamiliar with the family's extraordinary influence. The 11th surname is Going. At first glance, Going appears to be an unusual English surname, but within Cherokee history it carries remarkable significance. The Going family became closely connected with the Cherokee Nation during the 18th and 19th centuries. Historical records describe family members serving as interpreters, traders, and respected community leaders who helped bridge two very different cultures. They understood both native traditions and the rapidly expanding American frontier. Several descendants later appeared on official Cherokee rolls after removal to Indian Territory. For many Americans today, the Going surname seems ordinary. Its history is anything but ordinary. The 12th surname is Hicks. The Hicks surname appears throughout early American history, but it holds special importance within Cherokee genealogy. One of the best-known figures was Charles Renatus Hicks, a highly respected Cherokee statesman during the early century. Born into a mixed heritage family, Hicks became an influential diplomat who promoted education, constitutional government, and peaceful negotiations during one of the most difficult periods in Cherokee history. His descendants continued serving their communities for generations. Today, historians frequently point to the Hicks family as an example of native leadership adapting to extraordinary political change while preserving cultural identity. The 13th surname is Ross. Few names are more famous in Cherokee history than Ross. John Ross served as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation for nearly 4 decades. His leadership spanned one of the darkest chapters in Native American history, the forced removal known as the Trail of Tears. Although John Ross had mixed Scottish and Cherokee ancestry, he dedicated his life to defending Cherokee sovereignty through diplomacy, legal action, and political negotiation. Despite repeated efforts, he could not stop removal. Thousands died during the journey west, yet the Cherokee Nation survived. The Ross family remains one of the most recognized Native American families in United States history. The 14th surname is McIntosh. Scottish in origin, McIntosh became deeply connected to the Creek Nation. William McIntosh, a prominent Creek leader of mixed ancestry, rose to enormous influence during the early 19th century. His decision to sign the Treaty of Indian Springs, which ceded Creek lands to the United States without full tribal approval, created one of the greatest political crises in Creek history. Many Creek leaders viewed the treaty as illegal. Following traditional Creek law, William McIntosh was executed in 1825. His story remains one of the most debated episodes in Native American history, illustrating the impossible choices many leaders faced as American expansion accelerated. The 15th surname is Lowry. The Lowry family became legendary among the Lumbee people of North Carolina during the Civil War era. Henry Berry Lowry emerged as the leader of a resistance group that challenged discrimination, violence, and corruption directed toward his community. To supporters, he became a hero. To authorities, he became an outlaw. His mysterious disappearance only deepened the legend. Even today, the Lowry name symbolizes resilience, survival, and the determination of Native communities to preserve their identity despite centuries of hardship. Looking across these 15 surnames, one pattern becomes impossible to ignore. A surname alone can never reveal a person's complete ancestry. The same name may belong to hundreds of unrelated families. Some lines remained entirely European, others became native through adoption, marriage, or generations of shared community life. Still others represent families whose identities shifted repeatedly as history unfolded. This complexity reflects the reality of early America. Colonial settlements were not isolated from native nations. Trade routes connected distant communities. Intermarriage occurred more often than many people realize. Children grew up speaking multiple languages. Some families practiced Christianity while maintaining native traditions. Others deliberately concealed their heritage to survive changing laws and discrimination. During the 19th century, government policies increasingly encouraged assimilation. Many Native children attended boarding schools where traditional languages were forbidden. Families often adopted English customs to avoid persecution. Official records simplified identities that had once been far more complex. Over time, countless descendants inherited only an English surname while losing knowledge of their native ancestors. Today, historians are working to recover those forgotten stories. Modern genealogy combines historical documents, census records, church registries, military service files, land deeds, tribal enrollment records, newspaper archives, cemetery inscriptions, and DNA evidence to reconstruct family histories with far greater accuracy than ever before. At the same time, experts consistently emphasize an important point. A DNA result alone does not establish tribal citizenship. Native nations determine citizenship according to their own laws, traditions, and enrollment requirements. Genetic ancestry and tribal citizenship are related but distinct concepts. Respecting that distinction is essential. For anyone researching possible native ancestry, the most reliable approach begins at home. Start with grandparents, collect family photographs. Record oral histories before they disappear. Study birth certificates, marriage licenses, wills, military records, and census documents. Compare family stories with historical evidence. If records suggest connections to a particular native nation, contact that nation's official genealogy or enrollment office for guidance. Patience is critical. Some discoveries take years. Others may reveal unexpected surprises. Sometimes family legends prove accurate. Sometimes they do not. Either outcome helps create a more honest understanding of the past. The deeper researchers explore American history, the clearer one truth becomes. The story of the United States has never belonged to a single people. It is the story of countless cultures meeting, cooperating, competing, adapting, and surviving together. Behind familiar surnames may lie forgotten journeys across forests, rivers, mountains, and generations. Some names preserve memories of courage, others recall hardship, many represent both. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this. History is rarely as simple as it first appears. The name written on a birth certificate may tell only the final chapter of a story that began centuries earlier in a completely different world. And somewhere in old church books, faded treaties, weathered census pages, forgotten family Bibles, or preserved tribal records, those hidden chapters are still waiting to be rediscovered. End of script.